Hello and welcome to the Joaquim4gov broadcast, Friday 8th of February 2013. That's it. I was thinking about how I was talking about the juice media last time, and there was one episode that was new or that I hadn't seen or something like that, and usually when I watch it I rewatch the last two or three because of how infrequently they're released, and it got me to thinking that what I wanted to do initially of forcing myself to do 2 a day, I've mentioned it before, that was just so that I would get over the reluctance to do it at all and to make sure that I keep doing this. I'm at the point now where not only am I not reluctant or fearful to do this, I'm looking forward to it, and sorry, I just had to let it bug out. I'm looking forward to doing it, and as I go through my day, I'm actually when I read something or hear something or think of something, I try to hold on to it if I have something to say about it that might be interesting. So I might even not do one every day. I'm only going to do something that's worth listening to, I guess. And this whole idea of saying something when I have nothing to say, I think, is more geared towards me doing it and not you, the viewing audience, which isn't fair. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I think that's pretty much all that I need to say on that. I have gotten some feedback and comments on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what I'm saying, so I'm going to address some of that, and then move on to some news issues and that kind of thing. I might go back to 2 a day, or more frequently, I think the idea of that was assuming it would already be popular for some reason, so if I get thousands of comments or something like that, I'll do it more frequently so people can get a chance to get in more often, but it's not necessary at all now, so we won't worry about that. This is going to be a long one, by the way. So one of the things that I got was a question about staying on topic and re-listening to myself, and do I edit it, and do I get a chance to edit it or anything like that? And the answer is no. Literally, I work full time and I have a young family at home, so I basically get to read about certain things that interest me during the day when I have a time or a break, or sometimes at night before sleep, and I have an hour or so each way every day to do this, and that's the idea of it, is that I'm doing this so you don't have to, is the idea. If you don't like what's happening in this country, and you seem to resonate with what I'm saying, that you wish you could just run for government, whether it be fear that's holding you back, or public speaking, or commitments, or just the anxiety of that position, I'm doing it for you, and that's all that this is. I've always figured that my responsibility as a good citizen is to act in a manner that if everyone acted, the world would be greatly improved, and that's my philosophy, one of. So that's all this is, and I'm not going to tart it up, I'm not going to make it special, for one, because I don't have the time, and for two, because I don't want to. This is my gimmick. The gimmick is you're having a chat with me at a pub or at a park or on the street, at the bus stop, whatever it is. This is the real gritty me, so over time you'll get a good idea of where I stand and how my thought process works and how I would do things in government for you, and that's the point. So even if I could edit it, I wouldn't. I think I mentioned that I re-listened from the last one. I don't have the time to do that either, and I'm not going to do that. So it's just going to be all over the shop, and that's how it's going to be. I'm just your friendly chat guy whenever I do this. Might not even be daily, who knows. I had another comment about how, well, I think this is several comments about how I need to be more engaging and more emotional and things like that. And I agree that would probably help get people to stick through it. But for one, it would break my gimmick of being real and raw. A lot of the times I'm going to be doing this, and I already have, where I've had bugger all sleep the night before, or crazy hours, or I'm just tired after a long day's work, or whatever it may be, and I want you to see that. And I think that's going to be a lot more interesting than trying to apply marketing techniques to get people to be interested in this, or to get people to keep watching this. Instead, you're going to see, when I truly am excited and passionate about something, you'll see that, and it'll be a lot more powerful, I think, instead of just trying to get you interested all the time, every time, because that's not real. That's not how life is, and that's not me. Another one is how I don't stay on topic, which I've talked about before, and I open a can of worms, and then I don't go into much more detail, or I drift away with it from it, or something like that. And that is partially on purpose, because when I do talk to people about things like this that matter, that's what I try to do. Just throw out something interesting and see if they'll buy it. The idea is that you'll hear me say something controversial, whether you agree with it or not, just the fact that it's a radical idea, and go off and do your own research about it, and then come in and tell me your opinion. And I've said a lot, let's have a delayed debate about a certain topic. I don't want you to just sit there and consume my information blindly. That's the reason that we're in this mess. So I'm not going to just be sitting here and preaching to you every aspect of every fact that you should blindly agree with. Go and form your own educated opinion, and that's what we need more of, and that's what I'm trying to promote, is an educated opinion. And again, it's a tasty morsel to, get you riled up about something that you might not agree with, and go and look up some information about it. And that's it. Yeah, I don't think I'm at the point now in this broadcast where I can just sit down and go into a lot of depth into one topic without there being a specific interest to begin with, without there being someone specifically that I'm talking to and replying to their points, or a general audience at all. I mean, I've learnt and I've seen people that do that, it doesn't work. That's why I don't do that in real life or in a video format. Who likes to just sit there and just be lectured and berated and e-bashed for half an hour to an hour on one particular topic, and how little do they know and how wrong they are? I'm just going to talk about what comes to mind as it comes to mind, and see where it takes us. I'm very much going on the Billy Connolly school of public speaking in that regard, that I'm just going to say whatever I say. Sometimes I'm going to have a bullet point of topics so that I don't forget things that I wanted to talk about, but as I'm delivering it, whatever I pluck is what I'm going to talk about. And I think, again, it's a better way to do this particular thing anyway. I'm not saying or suggesting that, for example, assume that I do get voted in and I'm at a press conference or something like that. That's a different story. I'm prepared, and I like to do that kind of thing perfectly. But in this medium and what I'm doing in this particular broadcast, that's the way it's going to be, and I think that's the best way to do it. And with any of these, let's keep going. This is the beginning of the debate, Unfortunately, it's about me. It's not about issues yet. But tell me what you think on that, and we'll go back and forth on there as well. Why not? Maybe I was having another thought as well, that the idea of replying to individual feedback might draw other people that are watching this to give feedback with the idea that they will be individually replied to. which is the case now and probably will be for a while. And for me, when I listen to things like this or watch things like this or whatever, it's that whole concept of don't even bother replying because it will never be addressed because, you know, they're getting millions of these a day or whatever it is. So it's not the case here. Having said that, though, these are going to be genuine, actual comments and replies from people. Nothing's manufactured here. They've got more important things to talk about than that. Anyway, okay. Now we move on to a particular issue, which is what I was talking about in sport. And people took offense, felt that I belittled them because they liked sport. And that's certainly not what I intended. As I said on the video, I like sport. I like watching sport. It's a good pastime. It's a good relief from stress. It's entertaining. But don't make it your life. Don't make it the most important thing in your life. And that I stick to. And if you are offended by that, you should be. And do something about it. Not me. I'm not doing something about it. You do something about it. Devote more of your time and brain power to things that more directly affect your life. You're just a spectator, and that's all it is. Watch sport, and this is more addressing another comment about if I was suggesting that TV channels and umpires are coordinatedly fixing sport or something like that. All I'm saying is watch sport as someone that has no idea of the concept of sport. Watch it outside of yourself. Watch it as a whole, not just the game going on. Especially if you're watching it with people, live or on TV. Unplug yourself from the TV and have a look around at people's reactions. Listen to their conversations, especially at the crowd. At work or at school or university or whatever afterwards. During, before, whenever people are talking about sport, just observe and see how it molds people's opinions on a lot of things that are outside of sport that have nothing to do with sport, but they or you could possibly get your opinion, whether you're aware of it or not, from the goings on in a sport that you follow. And the following the sport outside of the sport as well, that's the big danger too, I think. Outside of the actual game going on, following the behind the scenes is, like you see in the paper, and it's just so much crap about what sports people do outside of sport. Who cares? That's got nothing to do with them. Have whatever opinion you want, do whatever the hell you want that it's legal outside of sport, as long as, you're not representing yourself as being a spokesman of that sport or team or league or whatever it may be. Really? Yeah, good. And that's it. If again, with my suggestion of match fixing, just play with that theory and see what you think about it. I could say things like there's a delay on the broadcasts. I don't think the players have anything to do with it. I don't think they can. There's over the months you'll probably hear me talk a lot about the idea of compartmentalization, where you can control a large machine with lots of parts from the top, with very few key players in key positions. Hence the term. And I think that idea of refs and umpires and things like that could be fitting for that. There's nowhere near as many of them as there are sportsmen, and that is one of the mechanisms that could be used. And even then, not all of them, just a couple. It's all that it would take. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being an umpire or anything like that. I had a late close friend that was an umpire for many years. It was very much an extracurricular activity for him in his life and his family, and I respect that. And nothing against umpires at all. It's just saying that could be a mechanism of control at the top level. So yeah, I'm not suggesting anything in particular. It's an idea that I play with, and it actually makes sport more interesting. It's just to try and see where that might be going on. Like I said last time, with certain replays that aren't shown and things like that. And the same thing would apply to broadcasters, I would imagine. You should know, or you would know, I don't know, that certain broadcasters have certain rights to air certain things, and everyone else gets their feed from them. So that doesn't mean that every channel that broadcasts everything in the world is in on anything that they might be in on, if there is anything to be in on, I mean. So again, play with that theory, see if maybe it makes sport more interesting for you. But what I really was trying to get at is that the amount of brain power reserved for processing sport-related things at the sacrifice of the world, whether that means you get surreptitiously conditioned to not vote for Ron Paul, as the comment would say, or it just means that you don't know what the hell's going on, or how it goes on. You don't even know that you should know that you don't know. Just all of that. And even more so when you do start getting into it. Geez, I don't have the time for this. Geez, this legislation is hurting my head. Well, sacrifice a little bit of your entertainment time, if you've got a lot of it, and push out those useless stats, and it'll be easier for you. It'll work out a lot better. A silly suggestion of call-ins. I thought about that too, and I would be totally down for that. It's a little bit hard to create an in-car studio, but if this broadcast and idea picks up, I'll spend a little bit of money. I'm not going to now because it's pointless, but I'll relocate the phone so I'm looking at you here or something so you can see me straight on, if it pleases you. I would need a second phone, I guess, which I do have, for the recording, and I can talk to people on Bluetooth, again, still, nothing wrong with that legally. Or I could hook up some sort of internet-related contraption, which would be easy to do, that just reads out comments. You know, you can type a comment, kind of like a live chat or whatever. There's all sorts of stuff that I could do. But the broadcast would need to get significantly more popular for me to do that. And especially because the initial format now is that I do this on my way to work, and it's there for you to look at during your free time at work, and then you can give me feedback on your way home, or at work, or whatever. I'll see that and have a thing to reply about it for the next day, and that's how the cycle goes. So we're all doing this in our free time, basically. So I'm not asking too much of you. That was the idea. But I'm certainly not against it. I think it would be fun as hell to do that. Just live whatever happens craziness. That'd be awesome. I'm totally for that. If the audience demands and is ready for that, yeah, totally I'll do that. It'll be fun. There was another one where near the end of some broadcast, or probably during the whole entirety of some, that I seem down and belittling myself and all that kind of thing. I can partially agree with that. Like I said earlier, I'm going to do this no matter how I feel. If I have the time, battery power, voice, and noggin to do it, I'll do it. So I'm going to be up and down. And that's going to show the real person that I am. If you do know me personally, or as you might learn throughout time, I have no short supply of self-esteem, and you are going to set yourself a very hard task to try and modify the way I think or feel based on your reaction to how I think or feel. I think I've already made that clear, haven't I? I don't care how you feel, what you say, what you think. If you've got an intelligent argument or point information, whatever, I'll certainly digest and look into that with you and for you. But if you take offense to what I say and things of that nature, tough, don't care. Offense cannot be taken, it must be given. Just like nobody can make you feel bad without your permission, and my own one, because I haven't heard a good one about being embarrassed, so you can't get embarrassed unless you want to. Whatever, I don't care. So that's it. I mean, again, I'm doing this from a viewpoint of what I would want, and I am not used to doing this, and it's going to be an ask for you to not only listen regularly, follow up on what I'm saying and the things that I'm saying, and look into the things that I'm saying and develop your own opinions and your own knowledge, your own independent knowledge, and we can bounce back and forth with that. That's a big ask. I mean, if that was asked of me the way that I am now, that's a big ask. And the people that I'm trying to reach might even just have a passing fancy with the political environment because it's an election time, and wouldn't have a clue about most of the things that I'm talking about. So, in that regard, I'm sorry that I'm not making it easier for you, but that's the whole point. It's not easy. That's why it's yours, and that's why you need to put the effort in it. That's why it's important that you do that. Each individual opinion and idea, creativity, standpoint, it's valuable and it's very important, and it shouldn't be given to you. You should mold it and craft it over time and constantly have it challenged and refine it and build upon it. And the more you do that, the easier you can do that more times. You know, the more you know, the more you know you don't know, is a saying, but still, the more you know about the world, the easier it is to pick up more information about the world, because it all overlaps with itself and each other. So that's why sometimes I'm down or apologetic, or, you know, I'm sorry about how I'm doing things. I mean, this one's going to be long, and if you sit through all of this, good on you. And it's important that you do, but if I'm boring, if you can't hear me, if I mumble, you know, that kind of thing, I'm not arrogant. There's a difference between being arrogant and the absence of giving a hoot. So that's that, and that's all that is, and that's my personality, and I'm not going to change that kind of thing. I think it's important. I think that's it. No, have I seen Thank You for Smoking? Yes, I saw it a long time ago, and I thought it was a great movie. Sounds like I might have to rewatch it when I get a chance though, but yes, I have seen it, and yes, it is a great movie. There was also some talking about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and if I should mention some of that. I think that's a little bit heavyweight to start mentioning out of the blue. But now, if you've heard this, you now know that term. If you're interested, look into what it is. I don't know in what context that was mentioned though, Nils, if I should talk about that in society, or if I should be applying that in this, or if I should just talk about what it is. The answers to that in society, too powerful right now, talk about that later. Talk about what it is generally, if I get more feedback and questions on it after people look into it. Doing this myself in this, absolutely no way in hell. I'm just being myself, and that's it. Like I said before, I'm not applying any sort of fancy pants techniques to trick you into listening. What would be the point of that? If I trick you into listening and then you've got this half head of steam to go out and actually do what I am saying, it doesn't achieve anything, really. I want a genuine interest. You know, it might not be there. I'll try to spark it up, but it's actual interest in what I'm talking about, and that kind of goes back to the can of worms as well. You know, I might try to generate actual dissent and hatred, so that people get a bee in their bonnet and go into and look into something to give me a whole dissertation about how wrong I am, and find out that it's not what they thought they were. It was. So that's that. now, yes, now we will actually get onto some news issues. Nearly half an hour in. It's going to be a long one. Okay. Old man in the mountains in Wentworth Falls, 77-year-old, found in his garage, tied up, beaten, broken glass. Gun safe open, 6 registered firearms missing. This is a law-abiding gun owner who, in the process of following the law, became a victim to people who did not follow the law, who now have 6 guns. This didn't happen far from me, and I think since that I saw a couple more reports of places being broken into and registered guns being stolen at force point, I guess you could say. It casts my mind back to some small print news in the 3, 6, 9, 12 months ago period, where there was some sort of data breach of the firearms registry, and it came out. So information about details of registered firearms was leaked or robbed or broken into or whatever, which is really, really bad, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's what I would have thought at the time. But it also goes to show that people who follow the law have it broken upon them by people who do not. And no matter the amount of laws that you pass, the people who do not follow them will not follow them. And all you are doing is encumbering the movement, encumbering people that do follow the law. So that needs to be rethought. And as I was alluding to, that is a huge problem. I feel sorry for the guy, I really do. I think that if it's not as a result of information of where registered guns can be attained by force, if it's not related to a leak of that nature, it means that it was someone that he knows or someone that they know from one of the clubs up here, or the shops that he might have gotten things from, and that needs to be looked into. I would very much like the police to release more details of what was stolen. They found an abandoned car with registered arms as well. That was interesting, loaded and all. But damn traffic. Well, this is good, I guess. When it's a different crime, they give you all sorts of details. I was reading something about, I think they had a whole maybe customs related importation stuff, and they told you exactly the model, the capacity of the magazines, good gracious, and all that kind of stuff. Tell you about the capacity of magazines. There's too much talk on that. 10 shot, okay. 15 shot, or even 30 shot, not okay. You know that people can carry multiple magazines loaded. What are you doing? How is that helping anything? To be honest with you, if anything, you're really helping out the massacring crazies, because you're forcing them to change magazines more frequently, and that's all that you're doing. They're going to be carrying the same weight on them. The weight is in the bullets. Whether you have 30 bullets across 3 magazines or 1, it's not going to weigh much more. So yeah, what are you doing? You're forcing them to reload, to give the barrel a chance to cool down, and you're lowering the chance of jams, because the actual mechanisms, assuming that they have an illegal semi-auto, you're giving the mechanism a chance to cool down as well, so it's less likely to jam. what else are you achieving there? Nothing. Nothing. If you are limiting the capacity of a single magazine and not limiting the amount of magazines that people have, which you shouldn't do, absolutely not, you're achieving nothing. It's just incremental control, and that's all it is. It's just let us do this reasonable thing for this reasonable unrelated reason that we don't want you to think too hard about. And once you accept that, a couple of years down the line, we'll find another reason to take another step and encroach more. And that's all it is. If you hold that view, learn something about firearms, and that view might be changed. If you have any opinion on anything, learn about it, especially firearms. The amount of people that have such opinions, very specific and extreme opinions on guns, and have never seen or touched or have any idea of how they work, or the culture around them, or the history, or the cost, the time involved in pursuing such a hobby, get involved, man. Because you look very, very stupid to those of us that know what we're doing, and you're the ones trying to tell us how we should and shouldn't do it. You've got no idea. And again, that applies to everything. So how do we fix this? I mean, if you currently have to have a pretty damn expensive, good safe bolted onto the property, bolted in such a manner that you can't remove it easily. It's basically written that people will have to beat you to open your safe for them, which goes for any valuable. Especially if you're a 77-year-old guy. I mean, what can you do other than use them, other than have them there? Home protection, you know? So how would I change this? Well, it's quite simple, really. Once you gain ingress to a safe, all bets are off. You are either the owner, law-abiding, trained, skilled, as you need to be licensed and own a gun, by the way, or you are a law-breaking miscreant that is breaking many serious laws in the pursuit of breaking even more serious laws, and you're probably doing it off the back of the poor owner. You cannot legally store guns and ammo together, and you sure as shite cannot legally store your gun loaded. Repeal that bit of the Act, problem solved. You want to grab my gun? I will go and grab it for you. And the story will be shortly over. Right now, especially after you've beaten, you're going to go into one safe, get your gun out, go into another safe, get your ammo out, load it, and then try to defend yourself. It's ridiculous. And any argument of a bat or a sword or whatever other weapon you want to have, which, by the way, as I've said previously, is still being armed and has historically been regulated or banned or attempted in both cases. So an arm is an arm. You can't do that for a 77-year-old guy. And there's a lot of old guys in this sport and pastime, a lot of old guys. There doesn't seem to be that many in the middle. It's booming in popularity now with younger people. So you've got younger people and you've got old guys, I think is a fair, broad explanation or summary of the way that this sport and sector of society is carved out right now. So you can't expect them to be able to beat offenders away, especially if there's multiple, if they're armed, if they're God knows what else. I'll leave it there. The argument that the police are your minders and they will protect you is ridiculous, because they're not always there. Their role is to investigate crime after it happens. In case you didn't know, that's what they're there for. They happen to be in an area to be able to frustrate crime or to prevent it. That's a bonus. But this idea that just for every possible bad thing that can happen, sit in the corner and suck your thumb until the cops get there to save you it's not possible, it's not viable, especially economically. I mean, how many cops would you need for that? Jeez. The response time just isn't there for that. And we shouldn't have a society that can't try to at least stand up for itself or look after itself. At least let people do it if they're so inclined. If you're not so inclined, then what other option do you have? Fine, be a victim. But if you want to take serious defense of yourself into your own hands, and I'm not just talking about guns here, I'm talking about anything. If you're willing to repel someone breaking law against you clearly, like a home invader or something like that, you should be able to, and you shouldn't be treated as a criminal because you do that. Sure, if you do get into that situation where you repel a home invasion by whatever means, let there be a trial, let the evidence and facts come out, be sure of what it actually is that it is. You know, you can't just automatically say there was police rock up to a scene and there's a dead guy and he was on my land and he wouldn't leave, so I took care of him, and that's the end of it. You know, that's not the end of it, obviously. It's not what I'm saying. So you can't expect police to be there for you all the time. So what other option does a guy have? Other than not having guns at all, which obviously the criminals wanted guns to do more crime, so you're not really solving that problem, are you? All they're going to do is get guns from somewhere else and continue in their criminally ways. So, yeah, coppers release the details of the guns so that people in the industry, in the sector, whatever, can keep an eye out for them. And I'm sorry to that guy. I feel sorry for him. And I hope that instead of trying to limit, further restrict by way of gun legislation, that we actually open up some avenues. And like I said, allowing people to have their safe storage with loaded firearms, do the job. That's all it would do. And the rest is self-defense. Technically, you'd also have to change some legislation so that it's not illegal to discharge a firearm, not using it at a range, not using it for a prescribed purpose, not using it for the reasonably licensed, a whole bunch of crap. But I know, I have information. In life, you meet people, you hear stories, you talk to people. Under certain circumstances, it's really at the discretion of the police whether they charge you or not for a certain thing. And I don't think we really need to go to that extent, or maybe we do. Let me know. That's like saying we need to amend the Crimes Act to remove a fray, so that if someone robs you and you fight back, you don't get charged with a fray. It's obviously rubbish, and a fray is rubbish completely. Look into a fray and tell me we aren't a society of jellyfish. So that's that. Let's move on. I won't say everything. I can't say everything. Jeez. See, it's better when I've got stuff to say, but you're going to sit through 1 hour episode or whatever it becomes. So, there's been another case of youths mucking with war memorials and stuff in the city. This time apparently they put pot plants on it. And they're getting charged with defacing it. And the comments of people, really? Take them to Afghanistan to see what a real soldier does, and they should be killed, and they should be kicked out of the country, and all this craziness. whatever specific act we have for a war memorial, if it's public property and it's not permanent, and this includes like chalk and stuff like that, have at it. We paid for that. We paid for the soldiers that went. We paid for the wars they fought or lost and died in. We paid for the pensions and benefits that their families and or widows have or had or got. We paid for the land. We paid for the construction. We paid for the enforcement of whatever ridiculous laws you want to have. It's public property. Do whatever the hell you want as long as it's not permanent. And what did these soldiers go off and apparently give their lives for? Did they go off and give their lives for automatic respect of arbitrary rubbish that this country is going to enforce on their behalf? Are you a soldier? Is that what you stand for? That you go off so that people can't have the freedom to express themselves on public property, which is what it should be, just public property, that's it. No different than a park. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd. If you spray paint, graffiti, break, then that's another story. But this idea of just automatic respect is rubbish. You're going to earn respect, and I can respect an individual soldier and totally abhor war, or a particular act of a particular soldier. Think, people, really. So it's craziness, and the amount of police and CCTV and just the amount of resources for enforcing these rubbish kind of things. Don't you have something better to do, like investigate the crime that I talked about to begin with? That's just silliness, absolute silliness. If you think you should be automatically respected, and leave it at that, for whatever. If you think you should be automatically respected, you shouldn't, and you probably aren't, and you won't be the way that you think. That's not how respect works. And it's these younger people that are breaking the societal molds that have been beaten into us for God knows how long. So good on them. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And talk about it. And it's just ridiculous. Let's get that changed. My God, it's absurd. And if you're against it, tell me why, and we'll have a debate. But automatic respect of soldiers that fought and died, please, that's nothing to be respected. If you individually went for whatever reason that I'm aware of, for a particular war, in a particular time period, you weren't drafted, you weren't forced, you weren't povertied into doing it, then we can have a debate on that. But I'm not going to automatically respect anything like that. I mean, it's just far too wide a brush. We're going to stop having this opinion. Jeez. Okay, Queensland cut funding for water fluoridation. Good on them. Queensland seems to, for a while now, be on the cutting edge of this. And they're giving the power back to councils, which is wonderful. And good on Queensland for that. Let's see if that spreads. Last time I remember, Queensland voted for something similar, and then it was overturned, and then they got their dodgy premier, whoever she was, and there just happened to be 10 times the amount of fluoride that there should have been in the water and stuff like that. 16 million, I think it was, that they defunded. That went to water fluoridation. It's pricey, isn't it? It's expensive. Imagine if you had that money yourself, and if that was something you wanted to do, you could individually go through private enterprise and go see a dentist and get a treatment done. Wouldn't that be better for everyone? And that's something that I read, that's what they should do. Oh, easy now. Which is true. It's mass medication. You have no idea of the patient, the dose, pre-existing conditions, anything like that. The idea is ridiculous, and it needs to be challenged. If you automatically have a negative reaction to the idea of taking fluoride out of the water, look into it. Historically, what was it used for? How did the process of fluoridation come about? Putting fluoride in water, that is. Dental fluorosis. Have a look into that. Have a look into what it does to your pineal gland, what it does to your nervous system, what it does to your brain, what it does to your bones, how it's taken up like calcium and it makes your bones more brittle and weaker. It's very bad for you in many, many different ways, and it amplifies the bad effects of other things that are bad for you. It's just very, very bad. And we're paying for that. And if you don't want to, you have to pay more to get it out. It's ridiculous. So good on you, Queensland. If I'm not going for House of Reps, I will be New South Wales Senate. So maybe that's something we can look at and try to use Queensland as a case for that. Who knows? What else do we have in here? Going back to the sport, and there seems to be a little more talk of that in Australian sport and politics, the match fixing and the doping or drug use or stuff like that. I just wanted to comment, I heard Mike Hussey say today about how he never saw anything like that. It wouldn't be something that would be in cricket, and it wouldn't be beneficial anyway, because you wouldn't really be at a benefit of being big and bulky in cricket. One reply to that is Haydo. One word reply, Haydo. Dude was a tank. Simmons. But even more than that, like that's the only performance enhancing attribute that you can take a drug for. It's not like your perception or awareness would be improved, or could be, it would be beneficial if that was improved in cricket, and your reaction time, and the effectiveness of communication in your nervous system and muscle fibers. Please, come on. Don't treat me like an idiot, Hussey. It also comes back to the Kevin leadership thing, as if he would choose in that news conference to go, oh yeah, it's rife. It's all over the joint. Come on. Retired or not, please. He wants to be a broadcaster, surely. Isn't that the ultimate end goal of every professional sportsman? I'm joking. It's funny though, things like baseball and cricket, where you need to have you need to have precognition. There's been studies on that your brain needs to fire and start acting before you can perceive what's happening, before even what does happen, whether it's a pitch or a ball or whatever it is. And it's an argument for the existence of a soul and the things that we can't measure yet, or that we can't perceive yet, and things like that. And it's interesting. It also makes you think, if that is the case, maybe that's why so many sports people thank Jesus and are so spiritual and stuff like that. If you have to be able to have precognition to get to the highest levels of sport, maybe you are naturally inclined to be, a typical psychic or whatever like that. And people truly do have a relationship with Jesus, or are spoken to by God, or whatever it is. Or, certain things that people count as ridiculous. Maybe they actually are experiencing something. Doesn't that make it more interesting as well, instead of just brushing it off as a ridiculous religious influence in certain aspects of the world, minority groups, sport, whatever. Maybe they truly are different in that one regard as well. That'd be interesting. Heard this morning Christine Neal, the leader of the Greens, complaining about some decision they made in Tasmania to not list 400 hectares or 1,000 hectares or a giant ass thing, not list that as whatever it is that you listed, heritage, I guess, protect it, whatever, so that people can't mine on it, I think is the issue. the environment minister that made the decision. That was his reasoning, basically, that it would endanger potential mining jobs. And just certain things that she said stuck out to me. The environment minister's job is to protect the environment. No, it's not. That's the idea. That's the belief of the Greens. Oh, it must be, because she said it. She's leader of the Greens. She speaks for them, doesn't she? Does she speak for you? Can that logic be applied to everything? Then? I wonder. No. You're responsible for making decisions based on a certain thing. That's what your job is. You're given the authority on a particular part of society. Oh, jeez. And that's what your job is. That's all it is. And you make your decision, weighing everything up. She also said that the guy ignored the advice of the Heritage Council. Now, what I know about the Heritage Council is that they are called the Heritage Council, and they gave advice to not do that. And the guy ignored it. Based on the name, however, I would assume that they would have a vested interest in stuff being declared heritage. The more stuff that is declared heritage, the larger and more powerful that particular council would become, no? If that's what they're about. So, take that as you will, and think about why a particular council or a particular body might advocate for a particular thing, and it's not necessarily based on the facts. And she was really having a go at Labour. I thought that Labour were your best friends, and that you're in government a lot more than you were because of Labour's desperation to form a government, which we shouldn't have. We were so split. We had to have these shady deals to form government. So you're going against them now. You think she was saying it. Come on, guy. UJU 81 motorcyclists. Stop risking your life, guy. She was basically saying, and Abbott's even worse. So come the election, vote for the Greens. Can you imagine a majority Greens government? If you think that's a good thing, look into... Oh, jeez, you're so easily offended. What would you look into? Would you look into anything if you like the Greens, the positions of the Greens? They're pretty authoritarian, and that's that can get ugly quick. Yeah, we'll leave that there. There was also some talk in the news this morning about the OU and the EU and the problems that they're having with austerity and budgeting and all that. The whole idea of having a common currency that encompasses all these different countries with different economies, different people, different culture, different histories, it was bound to fail, and it's ridiculous. And it was planned from the 50s, by the way. Look into that. Treaty of Rome is when it started. And people are starting to see now for the bad idea that it always was. You shouldn't cede your national sovereignty. This whole idea of globalization is not really good. How do you do that now? They're all having problems because you've got, something like Germany compared to something like, who went down first? Iceland or Ireland or something like that, and you're going to make it just parity across them all. It's ridiculous. It's bound to fail. It's not a good idea. Anyway, what were they complaining about? Trying to get the funding for different things, different aspects, and different countries with different interests that would go along with the changes, because they're all different. So why are you trying to put them under the same umbrella? By the way, all the laws the many laws that are enacted in the Euro, were you aware that the actual bureaucrats are exempt from them, right down to taxes? So, I don't know how this is going to affect us in New South Wales or in Australia, but if you have a heritage, or you have a connection, or you're living overseas, look into that. They're exempt from all the tyranny they're putting on you, which is something that you should be aware of and rail against. It's ridiculous. That's it. Wow, I kept it under an hour. Okay. Joaquim4gov. Twitter, Facebook. Did you sit through a whole hour? If you did, put a comment in there saying that you did, saying that you made it all the way to the end, and the magic word is Apple. Just say Apple. Why not? Let's have some fun. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Again, I might not do anything until I've got something more to say. It might not be this long. It might be 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not automatically doing it anymore. Keep spreading the word. If you can, get involved. Give me some feedback on this format. Would you prefer I split it down? Should I have a uniform length? And when I get to that length, just shut up and continue it next time. Who knows? It all depends on how you like to watch things, I guess. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's been nice talking to you, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.